and welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the 1950s NBA episode. Yes, I didn't quite know what I was going to say there. I just threw it out there. We are back to the NBA, as we had mentioned the last couple of weeks, and we will be talking about the greatest duos of the 1950s. And we will, by the end of this episode, have the Sports the NEMO Way 2 greatest duos from the 1950s. So yes, I think this is Wade's favorite decade of basketball. So I'm sure Wade will be very thrilled and have a lot of nice things to say.
And as J.J. Redick once put, firemen and police officers, but
I think he said firemen and plumbers.
Plumbers. Yeah. But at least we can say something about Redick. At least we're going to sell out to LeBron James.
Hey, don't be hating on my new coach.
I'm going to hate for all 82 games.
Anyway, all 5 of us Nemo guys are here today, and we have part of a guest with Brock returning for what? What are you up to, like 4 episodes now?
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Into the mic.
So Brock is back. He doesn't have a mic, though, so if he needs to talk, Drew's going to hand him his mic or something.
Which he failed at that point right there.
I didn't like holding it, okay? It didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Done over 200 episodes of it just sitting there. I didn't like holding it.
Be like your dad.
He turns it off or has it on his lap.
So anyway, yes, Brock is here. He's going to throw his 2 cents in from time to time. But I feel like I don't have any other things to go over, so we can get started. Drew, who is your second best 1950s duo?
Bob Pettit and Cliff Hagan.
Bob Pettit and Cliff Hagan, huh? Yeah, I don't have those guys.
Well, this is going to get interesting because I have Bob Pettit, but I have him playing with Easy Ed McCauley.
Well, I originally had Pettit on my list, and I ended up scratching him off, and I had him with Hagan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I had him with. So, Drew, do you want to go over the Pettit-Hagan duo real quick?
Yeah, so their first year together, Pettit averaged 24, 17, and 2. Cliff averaged 19, 10, and 2, so they both averaged a double-double their first year. Their first year together when they played in the playoffs, they won the title. Pettit in the playoffs averaged 24, 16, and 1, and Hagan bumped it up. He averaged 27, 10, and 3, and they got a championship together. That was one of the things I guess I kind of looked at with some of my duos, if they got a championship together, and they accomplished that. The next years, Pettit did his thing, averaged about the same amount. He averaged about 26, 17. Hagan stepped it up a little bit more. He got up to the 20s for the next couple of years. So it was kind of towards the end of the 50s decade. They played about 4 years together.
Well, Drew, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have their 4-year stats for the 4 years they played together if you want them.
Okay, yeah, that works.
And just the 4 years they played together, Pettit averaged 25, 16, and 2 on 42% shooting and won 2 MVPs. Hagan, during those same 4 years, averaged 18, 9, and 2 on 44% shooting. He obviously didn't win any MVPs. And they won 1 ring together, as Drew mentioned. So they have a ring and 2 MVPs between them.
Yeah.
And Pettit's numbers are pretty nice. So,
I just thought with it being 50s are definitely probably one of the weaker eras. I thought they played almost half the decade together, and Pettit being one of the better players in the 50s, and Hagan really coming on towards the end of those last couple of years and getting a championship together. Between the two of them, 2 MVPs and a championship, and they also had a runner-up one of the other years. I thought it was a pretty solid 4-year span for them. So,
Pettit and Hagan, how many of us? Is Drew the only one that had it?
Yeah, I don't have them.
Wade, did you say you didn't have it either?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Uncle Doug, you said you had Pettit, but with somebody else. Who was the other person you said?
I had him with Easy Ed McCauley.
All right. Do you want to go over that duo since we've already brought up half of it?
Well, kind of where I looked at it. Ed McCauley's numbers aren't quite as good as what Drew just read off. I'll give him that. But I also was looking, I'm trying to look it up again, found a ranking thing of the 50s. And Bob Pettit was number 4, ranked the 4th best player in the 50s. And Ed McCauley was the 5th best player of the 50s. And so that's why I put them. Now, Ed split his time between Boston and St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the team with Pettit and Hagen.
Third fiddle.
He was. That is true.
I can give you their numbers when he played with Pettit. He averaged 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists on 41% shooting.
Yeah. So Hagen actually played better when McCauley was there. But like I said, part of what I was doing was looking at these rankings, and for the decade, McCauley was the better player. But you're right. I think Drew's correct.
I just went with when they played together.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely over the decade, yeah.
Hagen definitely had the better numbers
But if I'm going
for those 4 years.
yeah.
Well, he put up bigger numbers when he was in Boston. McCauley, I mean.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he had a couple seasons of 20 points and almost 9 rebounds, and
So that's probably why he went up
mm-hmm.
on the decade ranking, because of the years he spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with switching from McCauley to Hagen.
So you want to go ahead and do that now?
Yes, I will go ahead and I'll go with change Pettit Hagen to 2.
Wow.
Okay.
In
all
the
right.
game.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is new.
Yeah, we've never
Okay.
done this before, but I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. All right. Well, since we've already talked to Drew and Uncle Doug, Wade, we haven't mentioned your number 2, correct?
Correct.
So who is your number 2 duo?
I have Drew's other guy, Paul Arizin, with his guy, Neil Johnston.
That's who I got.
I looked very heavily at them.
I have them as well.
I have them as well. They're my number 1.
Yeah.
They are my number 1.
Neil Johnston's a badass.
He is.
Very much so.
They both played almost their entire careers together. They won the 1956 championship together. They're both in the Hall of Fame. While teammates, Neil Johnston led the league in scoring 3 different times, led the league in rebounds once, field goal percentage 3 times, and minutes played twice. While Paul Arizin, like I said, they're both in the Hall of Fame. Arizin also led the league in scoring multiple times. I believe he did it twice, field goal percentage once, minutes played twice. These are both guys that were putting up monster numbers. Johnston, throughout his prime years here, was 22 and 14, 24 and 11, 22 and 15, 22 and 12, 23 and 12, 19 and 11. And I'm guessing he gets hurt because his career's kind of just over.
Yeah.
I'm guessing back then something
Yeah, he
happened.
only played like 9 years.
Yeah, it was just kind of over. And then, sorry. And then with Arizin, it's a lot of similar stuff. 25 and 11 his second year in the league, while leading the league in scoring and field goal percentage. And the rest of his career, he's scoring between 20 and 26 points, getting you pretty much 7 to 11 rebounds a game. And they have a championship together, both in the Hall of Fame. Both have a bunch of, led the league in multiple categories multiple times.
So yeah, they're 8 years together. So they led the league in scoring 5 of them.
Yeah.
So between the 2 of them,
So-
so they were both scoring.
Yeah, both Hall of Famers. Both, they brought they won a championship together. I think a very underrated duo.
I have their stats for when they played together. Because of military service and being a year apart when they came, because Arizin came in a year before Johnston. He played his rookie year without him. They played 6 years together, where Arizin averaged 23, 9, and 2 on 42%, and Johnston averaged 19, 11, and 2 on 44%. And like Wade said, they got a ring together. So no awards during that time, but they did get a ring.
Well, they couldn't have won an MVP till 54. Yeah.
57. What was it? What did we say earlier? We talked about this off
I
air.
think it's 54. 55 seasons, so it'd be 55 technically, I think.
Yeah.
They were pretty much all-stars and all-NBA players.
Up until they retired, yeah. That
almost
was,
every year. Yep.
I am happy to be back on Basketball Reference. They tell you first team.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
Very much
not
so.
guessing.
Yeah. I don't know why they're different from sport to sport on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Football's kind of a hot mess.
more Pro Bowls and
All right, so does that mean Uncle Doug and Drew are done?
yeah.
Yep, I'm done.
You have one left, Wade?
Get my
I
two
have one
duos.
left, yeah.
All right. Drew, Ray, how many you have left?
Just the one.
I have two left.
Oh, okay.
Well then, Alex, it's your turn.
Yeah, my number 2 is George Mikan and Mickelson.
Okay.
Vern
Vern
Mickelson.
Mickelson.
They were my number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I almost put them in
Yeah,
there.
I thought about it. Old Vern just didn't stand up to the
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
One man
Old Vern was just along for the ride.
And they played 5 years together in the 50s. And Mikan averaged 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists on 40% shooting. And Mickelson averaged 14 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists on 40% shooting. They both shot 40% from the field. And in those 5 years, they won 3 championships. And there was no awards, but there really wasn't that option because Mikan retired like right there as the MVP was coming into the league. So I'm sure Mikan would have won at least 3 or 4 MVPs if they had him during his career, but they didn't. I don't think nobody disagrees with that, right?
No.
Like,
Yeah.
he was the most dominant player of his era.
yeah.
But yeah, I think the 50s missed out on Mikan's biggest years. 48, 49, and 49 and 50 were probably his 2 biggest years of his career. But he did have some really nice years in the 50s. So in the first year of the 50s, he averaged 28 and 14. So what year did they switch to 6 fouls? Do you remember, Uncle Doug?
No, I don't.
Because
It's been a while.
his whole career, he averages like 4.5 fouls a game. So I know it wasn't then. I know they played 5 fouls then, but I'm just like, he would have been fouling out a lot if that's the case.
Yeah.
But if you're fouling out with an average of 22 and 14, I mean, you're putting up numbers before you're exiting the game and go grabbing about a 6-pack. So I think he's doing his job.
Grabbing a 6-pack on his way out.
All right. Well, that was my number 2. So, Drew, you're out, correct?
Yep, I'm out.
And Uncle Doug's out.
Yeah.
So Wade, we already came. Have we come to you yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ray, we haven't come to you.
Okay.
So who's your second or
Okay.
first? Whoever. What do you have? Left?
Yeah, it's whatever I got. So it was a toss-up. It was between 2 different Cousy partnerships. I went back and forth between Cousy and McCauley, Cousy and Sharman. I decided to park the car at the Cousy and Sharman duo. So that's who I put up.
I looked at the Cousy Sharman duo.
I did too.
I did not pick them, but I did look at them. I have their together stats if you want them, Ray.
Okay, what do you got? Because I got them too.
Oh, go for it then.
All right. So for the 5 years they were together, Cousy put up 19, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists, and Sharman put up 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists.
Did I mess this up?
No, I probably did it different than what you did.
What's going on over here, gentlemen?
They're over there acting like they're in Highland again.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm
Brock's
playing with
making
some
me
schoolgirls here.
Brock's making me laugh.
Yeah, they played together for 10 years, Ray.
Yeah, but they were a main partnership for 5.
What do you mean their main partnership?
Yeah, because I had it where Cousy and McCauley were together for 5, but there was a point where one of them was not putting up very good stats for the last five years of the partnership.
So you're trying to say that they had 5 prime years?
5
together?
prime years, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Because there was a part where McCauley stepped in and he took over Sharman's spot, or the other way around.
I mean,
Well, how many years did Macaulay play in for the Boston?
I don't know.
I didn't look at it. I can.
Because I got Kuzi and McCauley 50 to 54, and then I got Kuzi and Sharman from 55 to 59.
Okay.
I be honest with you, I never thought of it like this. I don't know what to think of it. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
can we pick and choose what years we want to use from guys when they played together? Like,
Well, I would say like
I mean, it's your opinion. You can do whatever you want.
I think this is more like probably one of our most like open. I guess like we don't really, there's not really like a set thing. It's kind of like what we think. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you can look at it like in a whole is what they did, but you can also look like probably at some point we're gonna compare prime years to prime years. Like in their prime, what did they do compared to what they did in their prime? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I bet we need to look at both probably, but like I don't know.
because there's going to be a team in the 60s we're going to come across, and they were playing good for like 9 years straight. With,
Yeah, I think that's another thing.
with no fall off.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Another thing is to your duo, if you could keep it going for a long time, I feel like you can be worth more. You know what I'm saying? Like if you guys can play together for a whole decade without falling
so
off.
what years of
So
Charmin are you using?
I got Kuzi Sharman from 55 to 59. The back,
So you included the years they won championships.
well, just the main years that they were. Because the way I did it, I averaged the highest point total and then looked at the other stats. Because there was a point where I think McCauley fell off, so that's when I ended that partnership and put Kuzi with Sharman.
Gotcha. I'm not picking on you, Ray. I'm just trying to understand.
No, right? No, I got you. Ain't no big deal. I ain't.
Maybe we should have talked more before we start an episode. No, but I did really look at Kuzi and Sharman.
Yeah, I did too.
And they did win 3 rings together. And Kuzi won an MVP during that time. But during during 4 of those 5 years you're talking about, Russell also played with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And that's my other one.
It's
Is Kuzi and Russell.
It's my number one too.
During the 4 years in the 50s that Kuzi and Russell played together, Kuzi averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists on 37% shooting, and he won an MVP. During those same 4 years, Russell averaged 16 points, 22 rebounds, and 3 assists on 45% shooting, and also won an MVP. So they each have an MVP during that time, and they won 3 of the 4 rings during that time.
And they led combined. They led a league in one of the major categories 10 different times between the two of them during the 50s.
Well, I don't know if it was during those 4 years. I can look, but I know Kuzi led the league in assists 8 of the 10 years in the 50s.
Yeah, and Russell led the league in rebounds his first 3 years, or just like 3 years in a row.
All 4 of those years, Kuzi led the league in assists. And then
Russell has like 3 or 4 in a row. It's like right before Wilt comes in, pretty much.
Based on my research, I probably would have put Kuzi and Russell as my number 1 too.
Thanks for the insight.
Thanks, bro.
yeah, he won his first 3 years in the league. Russell
Yeah.
won the rebound title.
So I figure between the two of them, they won 3 titles in the 50s. They each won an MVP in the 50s, and they led the league in a category 10 times combined between the two of them. It's
so when did Russell come in?
pretty good.
56, 57.
56, 57.
Yep. So that's everybody, right? Nobody has any left.
Nope, that was it.
So we have 1, 2, 5 of them. 5 combinations.
Come down to a tie, I can decide.
You wouldn't.
If you come down to a tie, then I can be a deciding factor if it comes.
Yeah, we'll think
You
about
wouldn't
it.
be a tie because you would make 6.
Well, still.
This is ridiculous.
Well, before we start making our cases, does anybody have any changes they want to make just right off the bat?
I mean, not really.
So we have Pettit and Hagen with 2 votes, Arizon and Johnston with 4, Mikan and Mickelson with 1, Kuzi and Sharman with 1, and Kuzi and Russell with 1. or two. Sorry, two.
Okay.
We have a couple twos, a couple ones, and a four. Drew, do you have both Pettit and Arizin on your list?
Of course.
I figured.
My two goats.
My two goats. Oh man.
Got it on the wall.
Drew is wearing a Bob Pettit jersey tonight too, as well. So
I am. Vintage white.
Vintage white.
By the way, Ray, let's just to start off with some case making stuff here.
Okay.
Of the three Celtics duos we talked about tonight, why did you end up going with the Kuzi-Sharman duo?
Well, I kind of said it already, but it's because I chose the two players with the highest point totals on the team, and then I took those years, what I did, and then I did an average. And the Sharman Kuzi was right up there with the Kuzi McCulley. The Russell average wasn't there except for the rebounding part. So I think that's why I kind of passed over the Russell Kuzi duo, and then Sharman and McCulley was just a toss up. So I just went with the Sharman duo.
So are you saying that your main thing you looked at was points per game?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Uncle Doug, I gotta hear a reasoning from you. I'm really surprised you don't have George Mikan.
Well, I thought hard about it, but I did a little bit like Ray, and I looked at points and rebounds and assists, and Vern Mickelson kind of let him down. I also, and I'm trying to find it again, had a rating of the best players in the 50s, and Mikan was number one, but Vern Mickelson was 14.
Yeah.
Old Vern wasn't getting it done on the other
And
end.
then you go down, and Neil Johnston was number 2, and Paul Arizin was 6. Bob Pettit was number 3, and Ed McCauley was 7. And that's why I originally had McCauley instead of Hagan, even though Drew came up with that Hagan had the better numbers. Kuzi was 5. Sharman was like 16. And Bill Russell didn't make the list because of very limited playing time in the 50s. So he wasn't on the list at all. So that's kind of the direction that I went. I was looking at how the players were ranked for the whole decade. And
There's just so much to it. I feel like we're looking
There is.
Then I figured this would happen. We all kind of take it different ways.
Well, the big puzzle piece that we're missing here is that we didn't watch the games.
well,
And that's
That is
the
another
big thing we can't judge upon, really, except for like highlight packages. So we kind of have to go across, do a little math here and maybe some rankings that other people put up.
Well, I'll tell you part of what I did. I did look at their stats. I also looked at their awards, and I looked at their championships. And I told myself that I would not take anybody that didn't play at least 4 years together. I don't know why I chose 4 as a stop point, but if I didn't, if I made it longer than that, obviously Kuzi and Russell wouldn't be able to be on the list, and neither would Pettit and Hagan wouldn't be able to be on the list because they both played 4 years together. And then when I looked at some other decades, I know it's in the future, but when I looked at the 70s, I only found one duo that played a decent amount of time together. Which would be Havlicek and Cowens. But a lot of them played, 4 and 5 years together. They don't play, a whole decade together like they did. A lot of these guys in the 60s played the whole damn decade together.
Yeah.
I just kind of took it as one aspect. I didn't really care how long you really spent together. If you all accomplished a ton in a short period of time, that's how it is. Can you tell if you are telling someone a story or the history of that decade? Are these guys going to get brought up for what they accomplished? And then just the simple, who accomplished the most and had the best stats and accomplishments. So like from one aspect, it was just how simple, like how we all grade everything is what do you accomplish, what do your all's numbers look like, and then can I tell the story of the decade? Like if I'm telling someone the story of the decade, would you come up? So even if it's for a short period of time, if you all destroyed everyone, I think that's an important part of the decade, and that's why I put Kuzi and Russell on there, because Russell's doesn't come in until like 56.
Yeah.
But they win 3 titles, and they each won an MVP in the decade, and then every year they played together. One led the league in assists, and the other one led the league in rebounds. Like that's a huge part of the decade, and that's a huge important aspect of it. I mean, it's three of the championships. Like I don't know.
No, that's
So
that's
good
fine.
my way of
Championship wise, the only, well, I mean, I guess Kuzi and Sharman technically compete, but that's the same 3 championships.
Right.
Yeah.
But the only other people that have multiple championships are Mikan and Mickelson, who also have 3 as well.
You see, I thought long and hard about Mike
Say
and
what?
because that
They only have 3?
In the
The
50s.
thing that I looked up, Mickelson had 4 and Mikan had 5.
In the 50s?
Yeah.
Really?
Because Mikan actually has 7 altogether. I think he had 5 in the 50s.
I looked up which teams won the championships in the 50s, and I thought I saw the Lakers. Was it 4 times or 5?
I'm looking at it.
There's a ton right there at the beginning, isn't there?
Right, yeah, they won like a bunch in a
There's
row.
a ton. I just can't remember if it's like 4 or 5 of them, but there is a ton of them right between like 50 and like 56 or 55 or something. They rattle a few off. At least in the thing that I saw.
Sorry, this is taking longer than I wanted to.
I bet that first title in the 50s was like winning the in-season
Well,
tournament.
see, we may be getting into
Probably.
that thing we were talking about earlier about when does the title officially, does it go with the year before, the year after?
Yeah.
Well, here's what. Hold on. I'm struggling here. My bad.
Brock, help him out.
This is what I did. Is I went to Mikan's career and I went to the 50-51 season and I clicked on it to see what they did, and it said they lost in the division finals. And then I clicked on the next season and it said they won the NBA finals over the Knicks. So there's one. And then the next year they won it over the Knicks again. Apparently the Knicks had a good team, but I don't know any Knicks during that era. Do you?
No.
Actually, Harry Gallatin and Carl Braun, because I looked at them too.
Yeah. And then it says they won the championship the next year, and then the next year Mikan didn't play, and then the year after that Mikan only played a couple of games and his career was over. So that's why I got 3 for Mikan, because it lists those 3. Now they did win one later in the decade, but Mikan wasn't
there. Okay.
Was Mike a coach at some time?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Was Mikan a coach, Uncle Doug? Do you know that?
That I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, he only played 7 years in the league, so I don't think he could have won 7. Yeah, because that last year in the league, he only played like 37 games, and
Well, it says that he won 7 NBL, BAA, and NBA championships, because those other leagues are the precursors, and that's the ones he won in the 40s.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Gotcha.
But I don't know where the cutoff is.
excuse me.
Oh, he did coach the Lakers 57-58.
So you got a title out of that one?
Well, that would have been a Celtics year, wouldn't
Oh,
it?
Celtic.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Russell started rattling his off. I think it would have been. It would have had to have been, wouldn't
Yeah.
Well, the Celtics lost twice.
it? Well, they lost to Pettit the one
They
year.
lost to Pettit, and they lost to Wilt.
Okay. Well, Wilt
You want what? 11 times 13 years.
Yeah.
Wilt's is like in the mid 60s.
Yeah, it's like 67, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Either way, Mike's teams and Russell's teams have championships,
Yeah.
multiple
Right.
championships, and the others have one or zero. Well, nobody has zero in this decade, I guess, that we've talked about anyway.
I feel like winning at least one. It's not like I'm sure we're gonna have situations where we're gonna have people come up that might a duo that might not have a championship, but it's a good like starting point to be considered an all-time great duo is
Yeah.
winning one. So I feel like at least having one it's important. I'm not sure it's gonna be mandatory for every era, but
Well, it's like when we're going to get to the LeBron Cleveland era, and it's going to be LeBron and what, Dellavedova, Kyle Korver.
Kyrie and Kevin Love.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, turn your mic on over there.
Brock's got me messed up.
Yeah, y'all dicking around over there.
Because Brock was laughing.
My bad.
No, yeah, LeBron, he'll be with someone in the 2010s.
oh yeah,
He'll be with Dwayne Wade.
yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be with D-Wade.
for sure.
Then Ray's buddies will be on there. And Alex's buddies.
Who's that?
Splash Brothers.
There's gonna be
There's not a snowball's chance in hell. Clay's like Vern Mickelson. He just doesn't hold the water.
Back in the day.
guys, we will get there.
In the
Let's not have the
2010s.
2010s
Yeah,
argument.
we'll
on
get
the-
there.
on the 50s. No.
And you know, I see what you're saying about the championships, but at the same time, we're looking at two different groups of Celtics. You're throwing in at least two other guys that are making this list as all-time greats. They ought to win a bunch of titles.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we've went over this a bunch. Those Celtic scenes were loaded. I mean, what? How many of
We're
them have
talking Sharman and Hagan. I don't know, Macaulay.
McCullough, yeah.
That we're talking about were some of the greatest players of the 50s were both on at least part of those teams.
I think McCoy left before Russell was there.
Yeah.
Right, because-
pre-championship.
Right. He was part of the deal, I think. He was shipped to the Hawks because they had Russell and they didn't need him anymore. I think that was part of...
Well, Sam Jones shows up in 57.
Right, and then Sam Jones shows up and plays all into the 60s.
Yeah, Sam Jones and Russell played together in college and were brought to the Celtics together in the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, these teams were more than just two people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
don't-
they didn't really win until they got Russell. Because he was such a huge part of.
Well, I mean, Russell won everywhere. He won two state championships in high school. He won 2 national championships in college, and then he went to the pros and won 11 championships.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a winner.
Yeah. I think I missed some information when I went and took a bathroom break. Are we stuck on something or someone?
No, we were making cases.
No, we're just
Okay.
making
We're
cases.
just
Yeah,
talking,
we're just
yeah.
talking
I
out
got
loud.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to see if we can, do our dirty deals like we did.
I got you.
And every other thing we do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not against coming off Mikan since I'm the only one that seems interested in it. So I just not sure where exactly I want to go.
Well, I was gonna ask and see if Ray would be willing to condense the Celtics stuff. Would you be cool just with Cousy and Russell, having your Cousy and Sherman just go to Cousy and Russell? We're talking about same team, and you still have Cousy. No.
Yeah, well,
No.
well, it's only that's fine because I got him on the 60s list too, but I don't think they're gonna make my cut. So that's fine. We can do that.
Okay.
So we can get rid of the Kuzi Sharman.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we made progress, gentlemen.
That's just so big.
What's with the black over the white, Ray?
Because the white kind of hurts my eyes staring like over there.
Got you.
But now I got okay. 3.
All right. Well, we did condense. Now we just have 4 for 2 spots, so we got to get rid of 2 more.
Well, you're the one missing from Arizon and Johnston, right?
Yes, I am.
From my lean, mean
You can get
white
our,
machine in Philly.
You can get our first one in for this segment, Alberto.
Come on, Alex.
Well, I mean,
well,
What's
I
holding
mean,
you up?
if
What's holding you up?
well, I just think
Well-
I just think Pettit and Hagen are. I mean, I had them, and like I mean, Pettit is far and away better than both those guys. I thought.
Pettit's the best of the four, but
yeah.
But I also think Arizon and Johnston were better than Hagen in the 50s by a pretty wide margin. And we're talking about what, 18 and.
Which ones are we talking about? Which ones you want?
He wants Cliff.
Hagen,
Yeah.
18 and 9 and 2.
Okay.
Almost a double-double.
Yeah, Johnson's 19, 11 and 2. So 1 more point, 2 more rebounds. Arizon's 23 and 9 and 2.
Yeah. I thought as far as an actual duo, I liked Arizon and Johnston because I agree with Pettit. I mean, Pettit's one of the top 2 or 3 best guys that whole decade. But
Well, I mean,
they both got a title, one title, right?
Yeah, they both have one title.
Yeah.
That would be us leaving the only multi-time MVP off the decade.
right. And on a lot of lists that I looked at, they said probably the best player for the whole decade was Dolph Shays.
What?
Of course, you bring it
And he
up.
also got a title,
I'll be honest,
but he had no part.
He's got no one to play with.
I didn't even
Yeah.
look at Dolce. That's probably my bad.
Well, I left him out
Oh,
too
yeah.
because there was nobody.
He had no teammates.
I didn't find anybody that with him. Again, I looked at players that were ranked for the whole decade and then went with teammates. And if we're going to go championships, then I'm going to go back to Mikan.
Oh, no.
Because, I mean, if we're going, I mean, they won a lot.
Somebody wants to join me at Mike and hey.
I may. I mean,
I don't even know where to go from here.
I don't know. I think we can't just base it all off if they won or not. You know
Well,
what I'm
that-
saying?
see, that's the way I did it, but it sounds like maybe we're going the other way. And if we're going to go the other way, go with championships, then I got to go back to Mikan because he won more championships in the 50s than
Anybody.
anybody else.
I'm just looking at Dolph Shade's teammates. Sorry.
I think he had one for like 2 years, and then he had nobody
Yeah,
consistent.
I couldn't find anybody that was consistent with him.
He played with some guy named Red Kerr.
Is this Steve Kerr's grandpa?
Great grandpa, yeah.
And he was like a 15 and 15 guy for a few years there. Yeah.
And then he pulled a Houdini.
15 rebounds back then is like 7 now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no. Not the
everyone was
conversion.
grabbing boards back then.
That's
Not
true.
the conversion.
They're all such scrappy shooters.
I know.
There's a lot of rebounds to grab.
There's a guy named Dick Farley. That
Him, I don't know.
Did he live in a van down by the river?
We're talking about
There's a guy
fucking-
called Fred Scolari. They called him Fat Freddy.
Double F.
You're right, Uncle though. There's like nobody.
I know.
Talking about
so
funny
you
names,
know,
Trey. Do you know the name of our offensive coordinator
Who? Who's our
for the
offensive coordinator?
Colts?
No.
His name is
And he had a
Jim
lot of
Bob
losing
Cooter.
records.
Oh yeah, Jim
Yeah.
Bob Cooter. Yeah.
because he had nobody playing with him.
Feel it.
Yeah, I love that name,
I
Jim
know,
Bob's
that's a
Cooter.
I mean, I just throwing that. I mean, I don't have him on my list,
Yeah,
but
I don't either. By the way, he did at the very end of the decade. George Yardley came to Syracuse, who's
Okay.
a Hall of Famer, and he put up some pretty gaudy numbers for a few seasons. But they only played together for 2 years.
yeah.
So-
See, and that's the other thing is, and I should have looked up too how many years these guys played together. I'm not sure how many years Macaulay played
I got 30 years. You said
with Pettit, and how many years Hagen did.
Pettit and Hagen played together for 4 years. Kuzi and Russell for 4 years. Mikan and Mickelson for 5 years. Arzin and Johnson played for 6 years. And who was the other one? You said, 'cause I don't have the other one written down over here. Who was the one we're missing? Or did I get them all?
I think you got them all.
Yeah, I just got them.
So Kuzi and Russell was 4.
Yeah.
How many were Sharman and Kuzi? Do we know?
Well, they played together for 10.
So they were here the whole decade.
They're off the list, though, Dad. They're gone.
I know, but I'm just, and then Pettit and Macaulay were how many? And then Pettit and Hagen were how? Pettit and Hagen were 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this. Nice rough start to the first episode of
Yeah, I, think
section.
I don't think this is. We're doing a great job of keeping the dialogue going here.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Well, we kind of.
we're thinking
We
on the
didn't really
fly.
set any
It's-
ground
it's
rules.
kind-
We just said show up with 2 duos. And
It's kind of a rough decade anyway. I mean, it's a fucking 50s.
I mean,
I don't
it is
think
a
any
rough
of us
decade,
have
but at the
a-
same time, it doesn't get easier. I've done the 60s and 70s already, and I didn't have a fun time doing it.
Yeah, 60s is tough. I've started the 70s. It's
Yeah.
going to be tough.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I was gonna give up Mike and Mickelson, but then Uncle Doug said he wanted to come there, so I haven't
Oh.
left yet. So
Okay.
Uncle Doug, are you gonna come, or are you staying pat?
I think I'm going to go to Mickelson, Miken from Pettit Hagen.
Whoa. Okay.
we got to chill on that side of the room.
I'm sorry, Drew, but
Kind of slander over there is wild.
I mean,
Honestly, I thought having 2 Lakers fans in the room and the only 2 people to put Mike in on our 50s list, I thought I was gonna have help with Mike in to begin.
I keep telling you, my boy Vern ain't doing crap. Oh, boy.
Vern drug him down, but they did get titles.
Mike got titles. Stop with this we stuff.
Well, and now both of my duos played at least 5 years together. They're both 5 and 6 now, at least half the decade.
And if we pay to watch the television, then we are the team. Because we are not watching games if we don't pay the players.
We got to stop with all this we stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Well, now Pettit and Hagen are the one.
Okay.
Drew, what are your thoughts here, sir? Being abandoned by your father.
I'm saying, bud. It's so lonely. I'm not leaving for a while, so we can keep talking.
How far in are we there, Ray?
We're at 43.
Be a 2-hour episode, guys.
I really thought it might be quick.
I did too.
I honestly did. I was like, maybe this may not be long enough. Just doing it when you said 2 at first, these won't be long episodes. Well, I was wrong.
All right, Drew.
Oh no.
What if you have to leave one of your boys? Which one would you be more willing to leave? Trying to work with you.
I know you are. I know.
Which one do you want to hang on to the most? And I'll try and.
Oh, and see, you can't drop Pettit and go to Arizona because you already got Arizona, don't you?
Yeah, so I have nowhere to go right now.
Alex is the missing vote for Arizona and Johnston.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have.
Yeah, we're screwed.
You can go to Kuzi and Russell.
You can go to Cusey and Russell from. Yeah.
Or I guess I can jump on the Vern train because he's this great guy down in L.A. Old Vern.
I mean, it's your team. You might as
you
well go to your team.
If you want to ride hard, with Pettit, I'll come help you out for Pettit if you help me out with. Well, you'd have to come. You'd have to come to Cusey and Russell, and then I'd have to move something. I'd have to go from Arzen to Pettit.
You guys are both gonna come off ours and do that, right?
Yeah. I'm just throwing out scenarios here.
We gotta get this up again. We had it good for a while.
Yeah.
Arizon.
Paul
I
Ayers.
think the pronunciation thing said air and then dash UHZIN. Arizin, I think.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years since we
Arizona.
started pronouncing stuff.
It does say Arizon.
Yeah.
Arizon.
Paul,
I think so.
Paul Ayerson.
Yeah, this gets complicated here.
This is turned into a front office
I'm
meeting.
floating out some ideas. I'm trying to get the ball rolling here. Is anybody else open to moving around or having
Yeah,
a
I'm going to trade
conversation?
3 first-round picks, and I'll give you cash considerations.
A player to be named later. So Ray, which two do you have?
I'm on the Kuzi Russell train, and then I'm on Arizona Johnson.
Gotcha.
I mean, obviously, Arizona Johnson is one vote away, but
It's not the one.
Alberto, you don't seem too fond of those two.
They were efficient scores.
They were efficient.
They obviously are, great players, but I have them on my short list here of guys I considered.
Mm.
You need me.
I don't know. I guess you all can tell me what you think of my reasoning here.
Okay.
I saw two duos that won majority of the championships for the decade between the two of them. I mean, and then I had multiple MVPs for Kuzi and Russell, and obviously it's just make believe, but I just told myself in my head, well, if they had the award, Mikan would have multiple MVPs as well in this decade.
That's
So
probably true.
That's true.
so
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm going to go with the duos that both duos have multiple MVPs and multiple championships,
Okay.
and that was kind of my thought process. And it's not like they were like severely lacking in statistics. It wasn't like they were like falling way behind or
Yeah.
something.
I mean, that makes sense. Honestly, obviously we had the similar thought process because I also have Kuzi and Russell, just because I just thought the combination of 3 championships, they each won an MVP, not just one. They both won at least an MVP, and then the leading the league in rebounds and assists every year they're together. Because I looked at Mikan, because when you're thinking of older guys and championships and accomplishments, he's obviously one of the first guys. As you know, he won a ton, and he was the first big superstar around that time. So I wanted to put him on, as I looked at him and Pettit, one of the first few guys I looked at. But I just didn't really look at Mikan too much after I was looking at some of his teammates, just because the duo part just didn't pop out to me. But I do get what you're saying. I mean, they accomplished a lot. And Mickelson was solid. I mean, he just wasn't quite on the level of all his other. Because everyone up there is in the Hall of Fame, right? Is the Mickelson guy in the Hall of Fame?
That's a good question.
So I think everybody else is, I believe, right?
Drew, I think
Mickelson's in the Hall of
Drew, I think you're gonna have to stop wearing
Yes.
that jersey because every time you wear it, it's bad luck for you.
Yeah, I know. It goes bad every time I wear it.
Mickelson is in the Hall of Fame. He's got 6 All-Stars.
Ray, I'm
4
afraid I'm going to have to do
championships,
something
and
bad.
4 All-NBAs.
I mean, that's pretty solid.
He was also born in October, Doug.
Hey, there we go.
No, in 1928.
Right. Yeah. Well, he predates us a bit.
And honestly, the Neil Johnston guy really just stood out to me. He had a little run in there that was pretty unbelievable during the 50s.
He did.
I mean, 22 and 14, 24 and 11, 22 and 15, 22 and 12, 23 and 12.
Well, I read
Then something
an
happens.
article when we were going over centers for the top 50 list. What has that been? A couple years ago now.
Yeah.
And they said when he retired, there was a lot of people that thought Neil Johnston may have been the greatest center of all time.
I mean,
That or Mikan. A
Yeah.
lot of people also had Mikan.
and he ended his career shooting 44%, which back then's like shooting 60% now. I mean, he led the league in field goal percentage 3 times, rebounds once, led the league in scoring 3 years running. I just thought he was a really nice underrated piece to the duo, that he might not have the name value as some guys, but this was a real player.
By the way, do you see that his first nickname here is Gabby?
Huh.
Why was Neil Johnston called Gabby?
Must have been a talker.
Or
yeah.
Old
No idea.
Hoss.
I mean, that at least is like
Old Hoss.
decent.
Well, for the sake of the episode, so we're all not sleeping on Ray's couches tonight, I guess I'll leave Hagen and go to Vern.
So
Alrighty.
Pettit and Hagen are off.
And Vern is the Laker guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Trace.
Wow. Three guys or three duos for two spots, and we have a 4-3-3.
Yeah. Oh boy.
What a mess. What a mess.
Oh, here.
Neil Johnson was called Gabby because he did not talk much.
Oh, so it's opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brock, for looking that up for us.
That sounds like a 50s thing. You know, you're tiny, but you're a big guy, and yep, makes sense.
Look, Drew, we have a tie.
I don't believe in ties.
Oh boy, what do we do with this?
I don't know.
So what is holding you back with the Kuzi Russell? Is it just the time spent together, or just I guess just what's the thought process? I guess what are we thinking?
I don't know. I guess.
That's kind of where I was at, but
I guess. I don't know if we want to start playing this game, but like, I feel like you could fit another guard on those teams and do what Kuzi did. I guess towards the end. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, I don't really like Kuzi.
No, yeah, I know.
But I just thought
I don't know.
these two ended up they stood out to me as the perfect duo. They each won an MVP together in the 50s and the championships, and one led the league in assists every year they were together. One led the league in rebounds every year they were together. As far as duos go, I just thought it was the best complete duo of the decade, which is, even though it was a shorter period of time, I will agree with that. That was just my thinking. Because a lot of the other things, it's a very large mismatch between the first guy and the second guy, or at least a little bit. I don't know. I thought this was the best just duo for the 50s.
Brock, what are your thoughts? In case we need you.
Well, I already said I'd go with Kuzi Russell.
Okay. What's your second pick?
I'll get back to you in a second.
Oh, thanks for the on-the-spot deliberation.
Thank you, Brock. Back to the studio.
Oh man,
This sucks.
we apologize to the listeners.
Yeah.
yeah, this is tough.
We should have been more clear cut on what we were looking for.
Well, I guess here's my thing though: is like I don't mind that
Oh,
we all thought of it differently necessarily. Like people may be looking more towards winning, or people may be looking more towards stats, or people, because we always do that. Even in the top 50, we did that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem in necessarily.
Well, do we want to try the boards out? Is that something we want to think about doing?
Wait, I don't care. We gotta do something.
I'll jump on the Paul Arizin Neil Johnson train.
Okay.
oh, 5, 3, 4.
You said
3, 4.
Kuzi, Russell, and Arizin Johnson.
Yeah.
So 5, 3, 4. At least Brock didn't say Mike in and Vern. Because it would have been 4, 4, 4.
Iken and Vern.
Well, I guess since we all seem to be at a standstill, it's either try the boards out, which will, I guess, play out the way it's up there, or I guess we can call some people.
Let's do boards and see what that gets us.
Who we're gonna call about the 1950s?
True. I mean, we're not gonna call anybody that watched.
Right.
Yeah.
There we got time to boards.
Alright.
All right. Boards and
Tell me the rules.
You should write your top
just
two.
write down your top two.
Well, I just said it.
I keep the tallies. Like always.
All right.
We'll start. Who wants to start? Brock or Dad? So I can go around the room.
Start with your dad. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm ready, by the way.
I've got mine whenever everyone's ready.
Yeah, I got mine.
Yeep. Where'd you get? No, you're on last. All right, Dad, who you got?
Arizin Johnson, Mike and Mickelson.
Okay. Wade?
Russell and Kuzi and
Okay.
Marzine and Johnson.
Okay. Ray?
Arizin Johnson and Coos and Russ.
Okay. Alex?
I went Cooley Russell and Arizin Johnston.
Okay. Brock?
Arizin Johnson, Coos Russ.
All right. So Arizin and Johnson were unanimous. They had 6. Kuzi and Russell were next with 4, and then Mikan and Byrne had 2.
Okay.
Okay. So
Roger that.
I would say that's our list.
If only we could have had 3 teams, we could have not had this problem.
Yeah. But that's not how the show is run, just like the presidential election.
Who knows how that's run?
We got through it. I think we just had to kind of get our feet wet and kind of just see how it
Yeah.
went.
And
It
we
wasn't too bad.
no, I mean we drowned it a little bit.
Yeah.
So were we using that to decide it? Is that what we were doing? Or are we not doing it? I don't know what we said.
What?
I'd say that's our deciding factor, right?
I ain't happy about it, but I'll go along with it.
Yeah.
That I haven't been happy since what's his face left, my boy.
You haven't been happy since Walter Jones.
That's still an
Like 2
asterisk.
sports ago.
That's still an asterisk. That's
No, it's not.
That's,
No, no,
that's
it's not.
wild to me.
It's wild.
It's crazy. Walter Jones.
I can't believe you wore a Bob Pettit jersey in here and you just gave up on the man. That's the real crime that happened tonight.
Yeah.
That's the real.
No, the
You
real
didn't even
crime
fight
is
for
you
your
guys.
boy.
You guys just don't accept his talent after 3 years. I've talked about him for 3 years.
Drew, I was the one that just said that he was the best one up there. And you didn't even have my back. You just sat there silently
Alright.
while I battled for your boy.
It's all right. It's
I
whatever.
think Drew should have his Bob
Whatever.
Pettit fandom taken away.
You can't take it away.
I'm taking your membership
I
card.
started the club.
Yeah. Taking your membership card.
Well,
I'm a
think
member
we've-
for life.
Yeah.
Okay. MVP time.
Yes. Year is 1957.
Which would be a
Bob Cousy year.
koozie.
Bye, bye, bye.
And you said it was Pettit and Arizin were.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Give it to my boy, Bob. Oh, Bob.
Bobby.
Oh, Bob.
Well,
Hey there,
yes,
Bob.
Bob Cousy won the MVP. And wow, very, very, very close vote.
Yeah.
He won by 2 votes.
Where am I?
It's but anyway,
Celtics must assign 2 guys at the end of the year to get 2 more votes.
he averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists on 37% shooting and 82% from the free throw line. Bob Pettit came in second place. Like I said, very close vote. He averaged 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 assists on 41% shooting and 77% from the free throw line. Paul Arizin, who came in third, and not he was a ways back in voting. Averaged. I almost said his minutes for his points for a second.
46!
25 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists on 42% shooting. Who I don't know that it led the league, but it led this list in shooting percentage at 40, field goal percentage at 42. Dolph Shays came in after that. George Yardley, Maurice Stokes, Bill Russell, Ray Felix, whoever that is, Harry Gallatin, Mel Hutchins, Kenny Sears, and Jack Twyman rounded out all the MVP votes. The last 5 guys received 1 vote apiece.
Looking at Bob Cusey's field goal percentage just makes me want to puke.
Well, Maurice Stokes shot 34% from the field.
Yikes. That's rough.
And he appears to be a big guy because he averaged 17 rebounds a game.
Really? You still shot that bad?
Yeah.
That is rough.
Bill Russell that season shot 49% from the free throw line.
Well, yeah, never mind. I'll wait till next episode. That's
Well,
all.
we all know that Drew clearly doesn't want Bob Pettit to win because he doesn't like Bob Pettit anymore.
I think Bob Pettit's the clear favorite here. Wow, like
Can
I
you
said,
say his stats again?
24, 14, and 2 on 41% and 77%.
I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing Kuzi's got on him is 5 more assists, which I would hope he would have more than him.
I think your boys got a pretty comfortable lead on QZ there.
I'm telling you, the Celtics signed 2 guys at the end of the year,
Well,
so they get 2 more votes.
it's probably because the Hawks had a losing record date.
Big time Pettit there.
Right, look at the stats. What do you want him to do?
Well, I mean, I guess there was only 8 teams at the time, so it's like drawing a name out the hat.
The Paul Arizin and the Warriors did have a winning record, just barely, but they did.
Just barely.
Was that one of the years he led the league in scoring, Arizin?
We can look. This is what
'Cause he won a couple scoring titles. I just don't remember which years they were.
Yes, this is one of the years.
Yep. Yep. 25.6 is he's the league leader. And Kuzi would be the league leader in assists.
Yeah.
I don't know who the league leader in rebounds is.
Probably Russell. He's got 19.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we just talked about that when he came in the league. I automatically started winning the league,
Yeah.
rebound title.
What really stands out is, all these guys don't have decent scoring numbers, but there's obviously some differences. But then, you usually have a second main stat that you dominate at. And even though Kuzi led the league, it's 7.5, while Pettit's rebounds were, double that?
Mm-hmm.
And plus, he scored more and did it more efficiently. I just don't think there's a lot there, really, besides the win-loss stuff. It's really the only argument to make. But you said the Warriors were good with Arzin?
The
Or
Warriors
better?
went 37 and 35.
Oh, Lord.
What was the Hawks record?
Hold on, I pulled the Celtics up first. The Celtics were 44 and 28.
It's to be expected back
They
then.
had the best record in the NBA. And the Hawks were 34 and 38. Has there ever been an MVP with a losing record?
I really don't know.
I don't know.
Because I think we talked about it in that one of the episodes where Westbrook was the first MVP to not be top 4 in their conference in the standings for
Yeah.
so many years.
I mean, I'm sure if there has been an MVP with losing record, it was probably back in the day. But I really don't know. Because it's just kind of flat out hard to make the case you're the most valuable player in the league when your team isn't valuable. No. I don't know.
There's not as much to talk about with this as there was baseball. There's so many more stats in baseball, and we also don't have steals and blocks yet, or 3-point.
Well,
Yeah, so we don't have
We're
the
at the
other.
infancy of the NBA, so
Like
we'll
I
have
said,
a lot more to work with later. There's going to be more players involved. There's a lack of players and teams right now, so
we're talking about the same guys for.
yeah. So there really is only 8 or 9 teams in the whole
And there's
league.
going to be a lot of team
They don't
name
track
changes and locations in here
Yeah.
4 or 5 years. So
They don't track all the stats yet. They're going to be able to use.
No, I mean we got blanks steals and blocks. That's a huge.
yeah. They're gonna introduce more all defensive teams and defensive player of the year awards and all that stuff's gonna factor
3-point
in.
line.
Yeah, more all NBA teams and all defense. There's just so much more to come. So right now we're just kind of at a limited capacity on what we can.
yeah,
There's 8 teams in the league.
Yeah. So there's really just no one else to really talk about.
I said if you make the playoffs, you made the conference finals.
Yeah.
I mean that's really what it.
I mean for real, yeah.
Yeah. Russell won a lot of his championships playing around 10 games in the entire playoff run.
Yeah,
That would have been this year. They played 10 games.
Yeah. See
that's what I'm
I mean?
saying. And
Imagine that. Imagine winning a championship, playing only 10 games in the playoffs.
But that's also why like none of these early guys are in the playoff record books.
Yeah. Well, same thing with baseball.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the base.
They
Yeah,
just didn't
you were already in the
Yeah.
ALCS and the NLCS, and you went straight to the World Series
Like
after.
Jose Altuve is one of the all-time leaders in playoff home runs, I think.
Yeah, I just I
not even a
don't know if
slugger.
any of you guys ever, I think Wade does, but I get on a site called Sporkle, which is just has all these.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other day it was, can you name the top 15 home run leaders in postseason history? And they were almost all like still playing,
Yeah.
or like just retired a few years
it's
ago.
like Manny and Pujols and
Bernie Williams,
Altuve.
and Altuve's on it. The only older players that made the list, Reggie Jackson's on there, and Mickey Mantle was on there.
Yeah.
But Mickey Mantle played in like the playoffs, like 13 years.
Well, won 8 World Series.
Well, when you're playing like 10 World Series,
Yeah.
but still they could win a World Series in 8 games.
Yeah.
Some of these guys could go a whole series in 7. Like, that's just wild.
Yeah.
Like
you can be in
nowadays, let's think in basketball, if you maxed it out, it'd be 28 games.
Yeah, 28 games. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
There's an interesting note here. I was looking at the voting tallies, and it said from 55-56, which would have been maybe the second year, through the 79-80 season, voting was done by the players,
Mm-hmm.
and you were not permitted to vote for your teammates.
Oh. Okay.
Well, there goes Drew's theory.
Well, there goes my theory.
Because that was the whole. We used to talk about this all the time with Rick Barry.
Right.
No one liked him.
They didn't like him.
Yeah.
Well, then it says here the voting tallies from 65 to
Yeah, several years. were
71,
incomplete.
and some in the late 60s, the voting tallies are incomplete. And 78 and 79, they're incomplete. They don't have all the votes.
78 and 79.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those
weird.
78, 79. Who would have won the MVPs that year? Moses Malone probably would have had one of those years, wouldn't he? Because that was
Maybe.
one of
Yeah.
those big years.
Just during his little swoop where he.
Because it was
died on that.
66, 67, 68, 69, 71, and 79. All those years, they don't have all the votes. They're all incomplete.
But I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
does that, because right now, like, players get to vote, but some of them refuse. And like, so that we don't constitute as incomplete. We just say we just don't count it because it doesn't. Does that mean that, or does it mean they lost it, or does it mean like what does it mean?
Who the hell knows, man? Have we all decided who we think the MVP is
I mean, I got my
before
person.
we get too off track?
Yeah, I've chosen one.
Yeah, I got mine.
Do we want to write them down, or we just want to say?
I think we all know mine.
Yeah.
I'm good with just.
I can just
I'm
say
good with
it.
just saying it.
All right, fair enough.
I picked Pettit.
Bob.
Pettit.
Pettit. Bob Pettit. Can't just say Bob.
Yeah, I picked that up. Bob. Bab.
Pettit.
We got it.
I haven't said mine yet. I was just gonna let Kuzly keep it, to be honest with you. Like,
That's what it is.
I don't know. I kind of agree with what Wade said earlier. If I was going to vote for somebody else, it would be Arizon, because I don't know how valuable you are if your team has a losing record.
Could be.
So I would, not a Pettit. It really isn't a Pettit thing, Drew. I just
No, yeah, I
just
know.
wouldn't
I know
vote
what
for
you're
an
saying.
MVP with a losing record. I also wouldn't have given Jerry West a MVP on a losing team. You know, so
I mean,
True
it's a
that.
valid point.
There's only one sport where I see that, and that's hockey. The losing guy can get it. We saw it this last year.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can. And again, I think it comes down to most
you watch
valuable
the-
player.
If you watch
or
the
you the
series.
best player.
Yeah, I
And
don't.
that's, you know.
I
Yeah,
don't
some
know.
people don't always view it the same. It's
So.
It's
One guy could clearly be the best player, but his team's not as good, so he doesn't win. But is that the most valuable?
But at the same time,
That's
once
the usual debate.
once people find out you're good enough, then they just stop.
yeah.
But I said, we know he's good, but let's give someone else one who has a good year this year,
They're
or
Yeah.
turns their team around that year just because they have a good year. We see that a lot now.
I honestly thought during some of LeBron's finals runs when he was going all the time, I thought if there was going to be someone that they would do it with again,
If he wouldn't have got blown
I
out,
thought it would have been him.
if those series would have been closer, like those Warriors,
Yeah.
if he would have been like 4-1.
I mean, he does put up nasty stat lines in every finals.
Yeah.
Like, whether if you like him or not, he puts up hella numbers. And, with the way everyone loves LeBron and all this, I think if they were going to do it again, it would have been to LeBron, probably. But, I mean, Bill, do you think that's wrong, though? You don't think the
No,
NBA
you're
would
right
try to
until
give
you
one?
said everybody loves LeBron, and
I
then
mean, the one finals,
then I have to
do.
throw up in my mouth.
In the NBA, they do love LeBron.
Yeah, I know.
the one finals, he did lead all 5 categories.
Yeah. Like, he puts up insane stat lines.
Yeah, and you're definitely right about that. But
Since they never did it with him, I don't think they're going to do it again.
They won't do it again. Like I said, the only one that'll do it again is in hockey. And it's just totally different than the other ones in that aspect. Because the hockey MVP is the whole playoffs. They judge you off the whole playoffs, not just the final series.
Oh, is it the whole,
Yeah.
whole playoffs?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The Smythe goes to the MVP of the whole playoffs. So they take into account your whole run instead of just the finals or whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that would change things if it did it in the NBA. Because, I assume it would still come out of people that made the finals, though. Because if you lose the second round of the playoffs, how great were you, really?
That's what I'm saying. Most of the winners are still in the finals, but you see more of the losing team if the series goes longer. As long as they don't get swept.
Mm-hmm.
It's but no, I feel like in the other sports you would still have people in the finals. Because obviously, if you get out in the first and second round, you didn't do much. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Alrighty, well, I think that wraps up our MVP talk and our 50s episode. Join us next week for our 1960s episode. Stick with us. We'll be better.
yeah.
And we appreciate you tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.